Good evening, friends and fellow citizens. Tonight, I want to respond to remarks by a few ministers. In the past few days, I've been the target of a lot of criticism, and I think it's only fair that I tell you what my position is, and I'm going to do it before I speak to you about my economic plan. I want first to respond to Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan's comment that what I said about investment losses by GIC or Temasek were fabrications. What I referred to investment losses were those that occurred during the global financial crisis. This is public knowledge, and it was already in the papers. Obviously, I mentioned them because Deputy Prime Minister Mr. Teo Chee Hean said, "Do you know how many zeros there are in $60 billion? That's the cost of my plan." I said, whether you have also asked how many zeros in the investment losses incurred by GIC a few years ago. I was referring to the investors' losses a few years ago. And now Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan said that these losses have been recovered. The GIC, the investments have gone back to pre-crisis level. I'm happy to note that. And I think the markets in the world have also recovered. The economy has become better. Markets have recovered. Singaporeans would be disappointed if GIC did not ride the wave of market growth and go back to pre-crisis level. We expect nothing less from the managers of our investments. I will now next turn to Senior Minister Mr. Goh Chok Tong. SM Goh Chok Tong last night said that I resigned from the civil service because he did not think I would make it as permanent secretary. I am surprised that he made such a remark, as he had earlier said he would not comment on candidates outside Marine Parade GRC. Since he has commented on me, let me tell you my position. I had wanted to resign from the civil service when my scholarship bond expired in 1984. But Mr. Goh asked me to be his principal private secretary to help him lead the second generation leaders in the leadership transition from Mr. Lee Kuan Yew to the next generation of leaders. I told him that I had no intention of staying in the civil service. He said he needed me for only 3 to 5 years. After which I could leave the civil service if I still wanted to do so. At the end of 5 years, I again expressed my desire to leave the service. He replied that since this was the second time I told him I wanted to leave, he would not hold me back, but would give me his blessing to leave the civil service. I have given 5 of my best years in my career life to Mr. Goh. He asked me to be his PPS. I did not ask for the job. I do not expect such comment from him after 5 years of lawyer service. It was not my mission in life to be a permanent secretary. I want to be a more complete person. With life experiences in both the public and private sectors. Thank you. Let me now turn to Minister Mentor's remark. About my proposals to transform the economy. He said I had no qualifications to say what I said. I am surprised. I studied economics at Oxford University. And for 6 years, I worked in the Ministry of Trade and Industry, where I headed economic and manpower planning. So, I have knowledge of both economic theory and development economics. In addition, my proposals have been endorsed by Lord Butler, who served 3 British Prime Ministers. Mrs. Margaret Thatcher, Mr. John Major, and Mr. Tony Blair, 3 prime ministers in the 1980s and 1990s. And Lord Butler was the cabinet secretary and head of the British Civil Service. He was head of civil service from 1988 to 1998. When the British economy transformed from a predominantly manufacturing-based economy to a knowledge-based economy, which is what I'm recommending for the Singapore economy. Where else can you find a more qualified person than Lord Butler? Minister Mentor disagreed with my statement that services is more steady than manufacturing. He said manufacturing is more steady. I wonder if Minister Mentor has seen a study done by 3 economists in the Ministry of Trade and Industry. This is the study. It was published in the Economic Survey of Singapore 2009. It is entitled, "Is Smoother Always Better? Understanding Singapore's Volatility-Growth Relationship." It analyzed the movements in the growth of manufacturing, construction, and services sectors in the 30-year period from 1978 to 2008. It concluded that first, the services sector on the whole has relatively low volatility. And second, a large part of the increase in volatility in Singapore has stemmed from the manufacturing sector. These are the conclusions from this study by MTI economists, published in 2009. It is these conclusions and the experiences of other countries that led me to propose that Singapore be developed as an integrated services hub for the region. Let me tell you more about my $60 billion economic plan. I call this the National Regeneration Plan. I believe you have a copy of my report. This has been circulated for your benefit. If you don't have them, try to get them from one of us. I think we still have quite a number of copies. Bring it home to read. It is both written in both English and Chinese. So for those who have been used to only English, now we have done a special one of you translated into Chinese. Alright? It also includes an article I wrote when the late Dr. Goh Keng Swee died. I worked for Dr. Goh Keng Swee, the brilliant economist behind the Singapore economy. This one, go home and read. The details of my income plan are inside here, but I'll go through with you now. My $60 billion plan has, been called an attempt to raid the national reserves. There is nothing of that sort. $60 billion is to be invested in you, the people of Singapore.
Thank you.
It is not to be invested overseas. My $60 billion plan consists of 6 regeneration funds of $10 billion each. One is for industries, is to provide funds to assist existing manufacturing companies who want to shift out into services or to relocate their manufacturing operations to neighboring countries. I have touched on this last night already, so I won't go through again. Enterprise regeneration, $10 billion. This is meant largely for young Singaporeans who want to start up their own business ventures, particularly in the creative industries. Creative industries are those in publishing, broadcasting, the visual arts, fine arts, and all that. These industries are concerned with the generation and exploitation of knowledge and information. Creative industries are a key component of the knowledge-based economy. Individual creativity, skill and talent drive these activities, which have great potential to create wealth and jobs by generating and exploiting intellectual property. They are the industries of the 21st century in which our well-educated and well-traveled young Singaporeans can find traction, do well and excel. We should use our resources to support and propel them into the world stage. Out of this, you can have the future Facebook, Google's, iTunes and all that. They all started small, humble, and by young people. My plan will provide grants of up to $1 million to each startup. This $10 billion fund will create 10,000 enterprises. who will hire at least 20 to 30,000 Singaporean staff. They will also generate business for hundreds, if not thousands, of firms providing services such as accounting, corporate secretarial, banking and finance, legal and public relations advice. So it is not just young people who benefit, also those maybe older people, lawyers, accountants, who will also benefit. The next regeneration fund is for schools. I mentioned the average class size. Those of us who are parents will know that our children study in classes together with 30 to 40 pupils. At the end of each term, I attend parent-teacher meetings, and they all brought up to me that actually with this class size, they are quite stressed. So my proposal is to reduce this class size from 40 to 20, maybe even to 15 for those with weaker pupils. This reduction of class size by half will mean that we need to build twice the number of schools. We may not need to build exactly twice. We will probably need less than twice because some schools are quite underutilized during the afternoon with single session schools. So you can still use some of the classrooms. But even if we go up to maximum 300 additional schools with 20 to 30 million per school, I think you can have maybe $6 to $9 billion needed. So my plan will go for doubling of number of schools and doubling of number of teachers as well. We have 30,000 teachers now. Doubling means another 30,000 teachers. These are good jobs, noble jobs, better than your casino jobs. The fourth regeneration fund is to build more hospital beds. In the last 10 years, the number of hospital beds in public hospitals has remained about constant at between 8,500 to 9,000, around there, until Khoo Teck Puat Hospital came along last year with 570 beds. So it's quite surprising, as far as planning is concerned. We have not allowed for hospital beds to be increased, even though the population has increased. So as a result, we have only 32 hospital beds for 10,000 population, which is half the number of 58 beds in high-income countries. These are first world countries. We have 17 doctors per 10,000 population compared to an average of 28 doctors in other high-income countries. 53 nurses and midwives versus their 81. The $10 billion fund will be used over the next 5 years to add another 8,500 beds in public hospitals and to double the number of healthcare personnel so as to reach first world standards. The fifth fund is to develop our community, to regenerate our community. It is to rebuild every housing estate into a multi-use community with new generation business parks and offices that integrate with schools, hospitals, polyclinics, daycare centers for children and elderly, and other public agencies, so as to bring jobs and services closer to the people. Underemployed housewives and healthy senior citizens can then avail themselves of the job opportunities, including part-time work, while still having time to take care of their children. This will help reduce the need for foreign workers. Travel time to workplaces will also be cut, saving transport costs and valuable time for the family. Local communities will be revitalized and rejuvenated, becoming hives of economic activity again, so that your housing estates will not be quiet anymore, where you can only hear children running about and seeing old people walking about. The 6th Regeneration Fund will be for the family. It is to tackle the root cause of declining birth rate and shrinking family size by taking the stress and the cost of bringing up children. Measures shall include cash grants of $100 to $300 per month, waiver of all school fees up to university level, free medical and health benefits for mother and children, improved maternity leave terms for working mothers, introduction of paternity leave, and more health care centers for children and the elderly in nearby precincts of housing estates. The 6 regeneration funds that I have described above cost a total of $60 billion over 5 years, $12 billion a year. They are well within the means of the government, which has accumulated huge surpluses from annual budgets. In the recent 5 years, from 2005 to 2009, the surpluses totaled $106 billion, well in excess of the National Regeneration Plan. There will be a healthy balance left to finance future needs if necessary. There is no need to increase taxes to fund the regeneration plan. This fund will generate jobs for Singaporeans, good jobs, well-paying jobs, jobs that are close to your homes, jobs that you are happy with. We in the SDP will push for this plan, for you, the Singaporeans. Time is running out of me. I will talk about other things like cost of living issues, minimum wage, transport costs in subsequent rallies. But I've got to give the valuable time to my colleague Vincent.